Hello, and is it welcome? Yes, of course it's welcome. Of course it is indeed. To another whiskey review with me, the Whiskey Novice. This is review number 128. We're still continuing down that path, looking at some 12-year-old Scottish single malts. And it is indeed to this Highlander that we turn. Glengoyne 12-year-old, owned there by Ian MacLeod Distillers. One, I was tempted, almost on the tip of my tongue, to say an old stalwart, but it's not. Like a lot of these, it's not that old really in the scheme of things. This was only released, this first of the 12-year-old was released in 2009 originally. So it's not been around forever, has it? But I think it just feels like as if Glengoyne is, I would suggest anyway, quite well liked within the whiskey community. So, it sort of feels like as if it's been around. They'll rebrand, etc. But it just feels like as if the Glengoyne 12-year-old has been around for a long, long, long time, whether it has or whether it hasn't. So, let's get to it, shall we? 12 years old, bottled at 43%, colour added, yes, probably not an awful lot. Chill filtered, yes. It's there, it's going to be done. It's priced at around the 35 to 45 pounds mark, so I think whenever you're looking in that range, I mean, even when they give you that extra sort of 3%, making it up to 43% rather than diluting it right down to 40%, you sort of feel like you're getting something. But you're gonna, when you're looking 35 to 45 pounds mark, it's it's not anything overly special, but at the same time, I think it's fairly well priced at that. I suppose, yeah. Let's just get into it, shall we? Now, on the nose, initially, I get a rich toffee. There are hints. This is ex-bourbon, ex-sherry cask maturation. I'm sure if I had dived a bit deeper, I could find out the actual percentages of that, but I didn't. That's for you to do. Yeah, I get this rich toffee. It's malty. It is malty. And I get something of a farmyardy note. Kind of hard to describe, but it's just that it is like a grassy or hints of that tang that you would get of slurry. I don't like saying it, but slurry, but way off in the background. But it's not, it doesn't overpower this. It's just a hint in the background. Yeah, it's more like wet grass, I think. Silage. And it only hangs around for a short while, and then you start to get the citrus notes. And for me personally, it was like a lemon sherbet. There's a slight dustiness of it, so it reminds me of the citrus is definitely there. Hints of orange, lemon, but lemon sherbet for me. I would say this whiskey for me borrows more from that ex-bourbon percentage of the maturation than sherry, which I would almost consider, personally, I would consider the sherry feel almost a signature of Glengoyne. But this, to me, definitely borrows more from that ex-bourbon. Yes, there's hints of the ex-sherry there, but it tends to be in the palate before it shows up more so. In the nose, I'm getting that thing that I would tend to get from ex-bourbon, the vanilla, slight hints of vanilla, honey, even coconut, a wee hint of char there. It just definitely feels more bourbony than sherry. Although initially there are some hints of that rich dried fruit, some, but as I said, it's definitely more leaning toward that bourbon. Palate. Slightly bittersweet. Delivery. Very fresh, very clean. that citrus all there in the palate straight away. It isn't overly thick, neither is it thin. It coats reasonably well. It's sweet, it's fruity. Orchard fruits, apples, pears. Actually, I'm finding this even thicker now than I did when I did my tasting notes, which is good. And yes, with that thickness, the sherry participant starts to make itself known. It definitely is there now, and it's thicker, it's richer, it's slightly more astringent, but only slightly. So the palate then does pull that sherried end of maturation up, but still there's a lovely lemony light freshness, which I would say is more akin to the bourbon. And I feel that were this solely ex-bourbon maturation, it wouldn't work on the same level as it does with the ex-sherry maturation added there as well. So it takes whatever's going on. That citrus just goes on, and it keeps getting, like I said earlier, lemon, orange, there's lime in there now as well. It's just, the citrus does play around a lot on the palate, and it's lovely. It's nice and fresh and clean. And there's a lovely sharp cinnamony heat just at the very back, leading into a sort of medium length finish. And there's still memories of that citrus, still memories of that cinnamon. So this is actually better than I remember it. This isn't my first go around. This is the start of another bottle. But it's better than I remember it. I know this plays in sometimes your mood, everything. But I just remember thinking my first bottle of this, finding it a little, I've used the word before, a little flaccid. It's just full. I found it going a little flat and just didn't really appeal to me an awful lot. But I wanted to bring it back and introduce it into this series because I think it is a 12-year-old that is well liked, and it should be talked about. I'm not going to add water to this. I did in my tasting notes, as always. It just felt a little thin all of a sudden. It took any excitement out of it, took any bold flavours out of it. So I'll not add water on this occasion. Definitely, for me, all about the fresh fruit. Apple, pear, orange, lemon, lime. Lovely little hints of that char and sherry running through it. So look, I think it is a good whiskey at the price. I do like Glengoyne. I do like what they do. They have a sort of signature feel. This to me is slightly different from that usual signature feel. If you see it at £35, yes, very much so. £45, it's certain to sort of scrape the top end of what I would like to be paying for it, but it's still a good old-fashioned style whiskey, I think. And I think the reason why it feels like a bit of a stalwart is because I feel like it will be around for a long, long time. Even though it hasn't maybe necessarily been around for a long, long time, it will going forward. So let's just pop a pin in that, shall we, as they say, and move on. Yum, 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 yum. Yeah, it is that freshness and that little prickly sweet heat of cinnamon at the back, which makes it. So what would I suggest? I wouldn't say I struggled, but I did have to think about it. I did have to try a few out of my cabinet to see which to me felt most like it. And it's this that I'm going to suggest to you. One that you probably also, I would imagine most of us have tried by now, because we all talk about it, don't we? Glenallachie 12-year-old. Billy Walker there, you know. And I know we rant and rave about how great Billy Walker is, but remember, Billy's not long in Glenallachie. This is old stock. He's working with what Glenallachie were using before he bought it over. But he just knows, I think, personally anyway, I think he knows good, he can pick a good cask, etc. So, yes, it may be old stock, but he's doing good things with it. So this bald 46%, I think all natural. I can't remember off the top of my head. Yeah, natural colour, non-chill filtered. This would be a bit more pricey. Certainly here in the UK, the Glenallachie would probably, you'd be looking the £40 to £50 mark. But I feel if you liked Glengoyne, if you're on that way through your journey and you've picked up a Glengoyne 12 and you're enjoying it, then yes, hunt yourself down. There's plenty of them out there. A Glenallachie 12-year-old, you'll get that same feeling, but 46% and all natural, it just feels that bit better because of its natural presentation. So that's that. That is Glengoyne 12-year-old. Would I recommend it? Yes, I would. I would. We don't see it on the supermarket shelves here in Ireland. But I mean, certainly I would imagine Scotland, it'll appear on the supermarket shelves. Probably around the world, I would imagine it's one of those. It's probably quite a bit cheaper than we get it here, but it's certainly one that I would say at some point you should give a go. Definitely. Don't expect a sherry bomb. You'll not get it. It's cleaner and less, just not as rich as that sherry bomb thing. I think it's just cleaner, sweeter, lighter. So there, that's it. I'd just like to thank you for joining me, as always. As always, I would love to thank my patrons if you wish to join that group. The details are below. Till the next time, my friends, here's to your good health. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. Please click and subscribe to be notified of further content.